Well, authorities in France say 2 people have died of heat-related illness and hundreds of others are being treated as an early summer heat wave sweeps across large parts of Europe. In Spain, 2 bodies were found in a wildfire that broke out amid record temperatures. Rescuers say those numbers could increase. Temperatures reached the mid-40s in parts of Spain and Portugal. The extreme heat spread further north, with Paris hitting 40 degrees on Tuesday, forcing the closure of schools and tourist sites. But some relief could be in sight, with forecasters saying cooler air could blow in from the Atlantic Ocean in the next day or so. Well, meteorologists say the heat could be a sign of things to come. The EU's Climate Change Service says Europe is now the fastest warming continent.
As the church bells ring in Seville, the Spanish authorities are sounding the alarm, a heat wave warning. It's morning here and already 31 degrees Celsius. Temperatures could rise to 43 degrees during the day. We have to be constantly looking for shade. The air conditioning in the car, whoever has it. And look, we wear a bracelet that beeps for the heat. It's terrible for me. I mean, I don't sleep well. Insomnia, and then I get heat stroke. I stop eating and I can't concentrate. And it's not only Spain. Across Europe, people are struggling to stay cool as extreme temperatures hit in regions from north to south. For scientists, this comes as no surprise. They've been warning for years that burning fossil fuels is causing global warming, making heat waves more likely and more severe. What is exceptional for Europe? The continent is warming twice as fast as the global average. Scientists from the Copernicus Climate Observatory program think this is linked to various factors. Like Europe's proximity to the Arctic, the more ice that melts there, the fewer sun rays are sent back into space. The result? The region heats up even more. Another factor is Europe's shrinking rivers and lakes caused by severe droughts in recent years. Since land warms up faster than water, it gets even warmer in summer. And there might be a contribution of aerosol reduction too.
We clean our air, our industrial processes and transport are cleaner than before, and this clean the atmosphere. So there is a positive trend in terms of radiation in Europe. So it's more sunshine hours every year. So all this combined can play a role.
Then there is the super fast warming of the Mediterranean Sea, which is contributing to heat waves and more extreme droughts in the south. The dark red colors on this map show areas that are more than 5 degrees above the seasonal average. Heat, known as the silent killer, is a serious health risk for everyone, but particularly for elderly people, those with illnesses and children. As the hot weather continues, civil authorities keep warning residents. Meanwhile, in Italy, some regions have put restrictions on outdoor work during the peak heat hours.
For more on this, let's bring in Samantha Burgess. She's Deputy Director at the Copernicus Climate Change Service. That's a European Union initiative that provides climate data to support adaptation and mitigation efforts. Samantha, thanks for being with us. Now, the UN says that due to climate change, extreme heat is becoming more frequent and heat waves are something we just have to live with. How well is Europe prepared to handle this extreme heat?
Yeah, thank you. And that's right. As our atmosphere warms, we get more extreme events and they get more intense, more frequent, and they impact a bigger geographical area. The good news is that Europe is doing quite well, and in a report that we published recently in collaboration with the World Meteorological Organization, we show that over half of European cities have adaptation measures in place for climate, but there's still, particularly for heat waves, but there's still a lot more work to be done.
Looking at the causes, do you believe that we can still reverse the process of climate change and stop frequent heat waves?
So we can't reverse the process of climate change, but what we can do is slow it down. So in 2015, so a decade ago now, 200 countries around the world committed to the Paris Agreement to limit global warming to well below 2 degrees, ideally below 1.5 degrees. And we also know that the warmer our atmosphere is, the more extreme events we get. So until we stabilize our climate, we are likely to see more extreme events, particularly in the summer across Europe. So more heat waves, more marine heat waves, more droughts, more wildfires. But stabilizing our climate will limit how severe these get in the future.
Okay, well, it sounds like you're still convinced that we can stabilize the climate. The EU is sticking to its own climate goals, aiming for a 90% reduction in greenhouse gas emissions by 2040. But how that goal is reached is still a topic of discussion. I understand, for example, that EU member states may be allowed to partially count carbon credits from non-EU countries towards their own climate targets. What do you make of this?
Yeah, carbon accounting is a really challenging process, particularly in places like Europe, where a lot of the industry and labor is outsourced. So when we buy goods that are made in China or India, those emissions for producing and manufacturing those goods are often accounted for those countries rather than where those products end up. So it is a real challenge. It's great to continue to hear that Europe is very ambitious. But the reality is that we're currently on track in terms of the global commitments that have been made to limit global warming. We're still on track for 2.8 degrees. So that is far beyond what the Paris Agreement set out to achieve. So we still need to see ambitious action, climate action at European level and at global level to try and reduce those emissions and reduce temperatures as much as possible.
And just briefly, what's your top-line advice to cities that are trying to become more climate resilient?
So my top-line advice is that climate change is here right now. It's not a future problem. So the sooner we adapt, the sooner we will save lives. When we look at the analysis of the excess deaths associated with European heat waves, it's in the order of tens of thousands across Europe per year. So we save lives. The more infrastructure and planning and early warnings we have, the more prepared society is. It requires adapting cities to make sure there are cool refuges, encourage biodiversity in cities, make sure we have green spaces to reduce the heat island effect. So the heat island effect, by having lots of hard surfaces like glass skyscrapers and tarmac, increases the temperature in cities by up to 5 degrees. So we really need to cool our cities down as quickly as possible.
Samantha Burgess, Deputy Director of the Copernicus Climate Change Service, thank you very much.
Thank you.
More from DW correspondent Nicole Reese, who joins us from the Spanish capital, Madrid. Nicole, Madrid is under a severe high temperature warning. What does that mean for life in the city?
Well, that pretty much means that we are coming out of yet another night of tropical temperatures and we're heading into yet another scorcher. This has been going on for days. I brought a thermostat with me and I don't know if you can see it, but it's going into the red area. I'm standing in the shadow. We're at around 27 degrees Celsius at this time. Later in a few couple of hours, this will easily be above 35, 37 degrees. Yesterday in the afternoon in the shadow, I measured at around 40 degrees. So that gets you a bit of an idea how quickly the day turns into a real scorcher. And people are just trying to take this heat slowly, day by day, trying to stay in the shade, trying to stay inside sometimes as well, because inside you can kind of, regulate the temperatures with air conditioning or by shutting down your blinds and not expose yourself. Like, it is a day-to-day situation right now. We're taking it by the day.
Yeah. And Spain is used to hot summers, though. What's different this time?
What's different this time is that this past June, we have seen the hottest June since records began. Records began in 1961. We saw record temperatures of around 46 degrees in some parts of the country. This is according to the Spanish Meteorological Agency, AEMET. They are also alerting, and this is not the first year that they're alerting about it, that this is probably due to human-induced climate change and that these heat waves are starting earlier They're becoming longer, more frequent. When I say longer, they might be 5 times longer than in the past. And this obviously means that it has an impact. It has an impact on wildfires when they start. For example, wildfire season starts earlier now. We have seen a few wildfires break out across the country. They're difficult to tackle in this heat. This also has a toll on people's health. When we look at the numbers, last year in June, for example, in June 24, the death toll in deaths related to high temperatures was at around 32, 34 cases. This year, past June, we're looking at around 390. And this is quite a change. This shows you how dramatic the heat can impact us and our health.
Yeah. Just quickly before I let you go, how are authorities responding to the heat?
Well, authorities have activated their heatwave protocol. This means they are also showing citizens here in Madrid or in Barcelona as well, where they can shelter from the heat in public libraries, for example, or museums with free access. So they have some air conditioning when they feel like dizzy or whatever happens. And obviously, in the long run, cities need to adapt. This means I'm being surrounded by concrete. We need more green spaces. Cities are looking into this, but really, this is what we need to do: less concrete, more green spaces, so we can actually feel a bit of a relief in these high temperatures.
DW correspondent Nicole Reese, thanks so much. Meteorologists say the heat is exceptional for this time of the year, but could be a sign of things to come. The EU's Climate Change Service says Europe is now the fastest warming continent.
The summer sun rises over Paris. Beautiful to look at, but as dawn breaks on the hottest day of the year so far, it's getting hard to bear.
I feel like going inside the fridge or even the freezer.
16 regions across France, including the capital, are on red alert. Hundreds of schools across the country have also been shut. Tourists and locals are struggling to cope.
We are just tourists here, but people that are in the city, living in the city here, and I believe that the city was built more for not to deal with this amount of heat, so it's intense.
Under such sizzling heat, a symbol of the city, the Eiffel Tower, was closed to visitors. And it's not only France. An early summer heat wave is creeping across the continent. Italy has issued heatwave red alerts up and down the country and banned outdoor work during the hottest hours. In Germany, the River Rhine is at unusually low levels for this time of year. As a major shipping route, it's causing concerns about the economic consequences of such extreme heat. Last month was the hottest June on record for many parts of Europe. Temperatures in the Spanish capital, Madrid, hit the upper 40s.
Today's very bad, but yesterday wasn't any better either. So we're just surviving, nothing more. It's hard to sleep.
England has seen its hottest day so far this year, with some areas experiencing the second heat wave in the last month. Scientists say the extreme temperatures are being caused by a heat dome.
These weather patterns, this heat dome, the waving in the jet stream are things that we've seen before. With climate change, though, we've turned that thermostat, that background temperature up a notch or two. So when we get these weather patterns, one, they tend to happen more often, they're more persistent when they happen, and they're more intense. So we get higher temperatures.
Experts say the world needs to urgently reduce greenhouse gas emissions as frequent weather events become the new normal.
Let's get more on this from DW climate reporter Tim Schauenberg. Tim, tell us more about these climate patterns and how they affect Europe.
Yeah, as we heard, burning coal, oil and gas is warming up the planet in unprecedented speed. That means the climate zones that we live in are moving north, which means in concrete, a city as Hamburg, for example, a North German city, a major city, is in the climate zone which had Paris a couple of years ago. So those climate patterns are moving north. It's getting warmer in Hamburg. It's getting warmer in Paris as well. You can see that for almost every city in Europe. German scientists from the German Weather Service, Deutscher Wetterdienst, calculated that southwestern cities in Germany are going to have the climate of Dubai in 2015. So just to repeat that, German cities, which are not known to be extremely hot in the southwestern part, will have the climate of Dubai in only 25 years.
That's very hard to imagine from where we stand right now, I have to be honest. Now, the UN says that due to climate change, extreme heat is becoming more frequent and heat waves are something we are going to have to live with. But how prepared is Europe to adapt to this new reality?
We have to say not very much. We can see climate and also heat is getting more attention, but only and mostly when there's such heat waves as we're seeing them at the moment, when there's wildfires, when there's drought. After that, the attention really drops. We see that the heat topic is dribbling into the administrations more and more. There are heat plans, emergency plans being made. We can see them also in German administration, but it lacks implementation, clearly. I mean, I'm here in Cologne, and it's sizzling hot as well. And I don't see more fountains. I don't see more green spaces. I don't see parking lots to be converted into green spaces to cool down the area. And this is a European-wide phenomenon. Nevertheless, there's best practice options, as we see in Barcelona and Paris. They are converting spaces into cooler areas and have a long-term plan to adapt to this kind of heat.
I want to also talk about greenhouse gas emissions because they're key here, aren't they? Where do we stand on efforts to reduce them?
Well, when we look at German politics, the ambitions are not enough, and also the efforts being made. The German government, the new government from the Conservative and Social Democrats made clear climate is not their priority anymore in their program. Nevertheless, they're investing a 100 billion euro package into climate protection, which also subsidizes fossil gas, which is contradictory at this point. On a European level, we're going to see new climate targets today. And also there, climate ambitions are under attack, and we see probably a washdown of the European ambitions. Globally, it's clear that we're have not enough ambitions. Emissions are still rising, as are investments into fossil fuels. So before we talk about cooling down the planet, we first have to stop emitting to stop the heating.
That's DW climate reporter Tim Schauenberg. Thank you so much, Tim.